Alright boys, how's it doing?
Alright man.
Super bad.
That's better.
Sorry. I couldn't resist.
You're the worst kind of bastard, aren't you? Yeah, you're
You feed me
absolutely the worst kind of
You
bastard.
teed me up, I couldn't miss the opportunity.
Aye.
And I wouldn't like the opportunity to pass. You've got to do it, didn't you? We've got to do it.
Cheers, man.
Anyway,
Appreciate it.
How are we all, boys? Having fun?
I'm fucking raging at you now, but I am.
It's,
That aside, I'm fine.
Is it a sad indictment of the podcast that we have a full house and we got beat at the weekend?
Yeah.
You know, when we're sweeping sides, when we're sweeping teams aside, we're down to 2s and 3s. We get a beat, full attendance. Let's get absolutely tore into it. Here, Shanks has got notes and everything, man. That's where we are. Tam, how's your weekend?
It was alright. Aye, obviously the football on Sunday, seen you guys, it was decent enough, but obviously the result wasn't what we wanted, but fairly decent enough weekend, to be honest.
Shanksy boy, what's been happening?
Yeah, I completed soft play this weekend. We went to a new soft play, and some wee gadget threw a wee bit of soft play apparatus at my 6-month-old wee boy and skipped him in the head, and he didn't even cry. So that was fucking more than John Sitter did at the weekend. So that was class.
Brads, what about yourself? What's been happening?
I was just at soft play, chucking stuff at wee kids. So
wee boy. I took out a wee guy. He laughed at his dad, left.
That was it, basically.
Kev, what about you? You been hanging around any children's play parks?
No, seemingly I'm banned now, mate.
Oh yeah.
My weekend started off brilliantly on Friday night, and then went slowly downhill until Sunday afternoon. So yeah, so my life went this weekend.
I heard Gary Locke describing his weekend, said, my weekend started off shite on Friday and got steadily worse. So make it that what you want, Kev.
Right.
Ando, it's been happening.
Oh, not much, man. I had a good weekend up in Edinburgh. Made a day on the Sunday. Took the good lady up for her first ever Hearts game. Obviously, she's from Australia, so she had no idea what she was getting into. And I ended up nearly causing a fight with a guy that sat 2 rows behind us for being negative. I'm like, you're never going to fit in here, love. I don't think I'll be inviting you back.
Was she one of the 2 gadgets that ran out of section then over into the Rangers then before kickoff?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
To be fair, that's fair play. That was fair play to those 2 wee gadgets too. That was well done. That was ballsy and a brave move, and I applaud them for attempting it.
They're just following the footsteps of Father Corbett, aren't they?
Yeah. I'm surprised your bird didn't get kicked out for trying to watch the game upside down.
Nah, she's got British citizenship now, man. She can see everything the right way up.
We turned her the right way up.
We've changed her. She can see everything in proper vision.
You say what you want about Britain right now, but I tell you what, we're fucking brilliant at making them turn the right way up, aren't we? That's what we want. Right, as always, welcome back to This Is My Story, your unofficial Hearts podcast. As you'll have noticed already, that we talk utter shite and we are not affiliated to the football club in any way, shape or form. This week, we'll obviously talk about Rangers. Weird game, because for 95% of it, we're actually pretty decent, but it's a reoccurring theme that we've spoke about. For the people that suffer us every week, you'll know that we are wasteful. And we'll talk about it and how much we're going to have to address it, hopefully in January, because we can't keep messing up the opportunities that we've had. We'll preview Dundee, which is on Saturday, talk about the amazing work that the fans again put in on Sunday with all the M&D stuff for Hearts and Rangers, with both sides wearing the tops for Zalukis and Rickson, the auctions and stuff after it, the money raised. Obviously, everybody will know and will be sick to death of hearing about it, but we might as well have to talk about it again, because we're back to talking about COVID again, potential restrictions on attendances, and is Sunday going to be the last, or Saturday potentially going to be the last full house that we have for this year or this season potentially. We'll have a wee chuckle at Hibs because why the fuck not? And that's pretty much it. Anything else we want to talk about, boys? Anything else? Kev, what was the car ride home chat with you and Gary Locke? Anything exciting?
Yeah, just bits and pieces about Gary's testimonial year, and I still love the fact that, and I always wondered if it was just for the media that they spoke about it, but he still calls Jim Jeffries the gaffer, and I just love him for it. I just genuinely love that. So, other than that, not a great deal of chat.
You definitely had your hand on his thigh the whole time of the journey.
Fucking right.
100%.
At least my
100%.
hand was on his thigh. If you'd been there, your hand would be on his cock. So
There we go.
you're not going to deny it.
I was going to say we can either confirm or deny such a thing. Kev, do you want to tell everybody that's listening what requirements Gary Locke wants for his flag that we're going to make him?
I don't know. Should we give this particular piece of information out so early, or should we just keep that for the big reveal?
Or is that what it is? Are we being professional or are we teasing them, Kev? Are we?
I think we should. I think we should tease them
in the hope that in 6 months they listen again. Kev, nobody cares. No one cares.
What was the big reveal going to be? I have to ask.
I was going to say, because it's between these two fuckers only. Nobody else on here knows what this is. So
my dad that's listening and a couple of handful of others that are listening, no one else is going to hear this, Kev. On you go.
All right then. So after chatting with Gary about his flag for his testimonial, his only request was that it simply said, "Fuck the Hibs." FTH right at the bottom, and I raise my glass.
Yes.
I'll pay for that myself right now.
Gorky as fuck.
That is exactly what it is. That's what your t-shirt's missing, Ando. A G. It needs a G AF for Gorgy as fuck, and we'll start selling them.
Get a post.
There we go.
Get a post.
We'll start selling them.
Aye, and actually, no, we'll leave that alone. Carry on.
You struggled with that one there, eh?
I did. I was like, it's now the time. It's now the time that I decide to acknowledge the email I had from Kevin, whatever his name is. I can't remember. It's not Kevin Gold, but Kevin, whoever his name was. I've just fucked it, so it doesn't matter. But I was going to segue from that into what everyone's tops are on the pod. But we'll no bother. We'll leave it alone because it's shite and boring.
Thanks for acknowledging that. Let's move on. But you've teed it up professionally. Shite and boring. Kev, tell us about Kevin McKenna's as players. Right, what you got for us this week?
I think we should might retire this at the end of the year or the end of the week. I don't care which one's going to be first. But anyway,
you or the bit?
Both, mate. Both.
Okay, that's fine. I'm on board with either.
Thanks. Cheers. So last week's Kevin McKenna's was simply he had 2 senior spells with the famous, scoring 21 league goals, which I actually found. I thought he scored more than that for some reason. I don't know. Received 1 international call-up in 2011 and still playing at the rightful age of 37. So well done to Franz Speckenbauer, or Coco says, fuck the Hibs. Andy Dixon, Scott McIntosh, also known as Amoruso Lets It Run, Liam Marshall, Jordan Sterling, and whoever Mrs. V. Venison 21 is, as every single one of them got it correct with Ryan Stevenson.
What did you say? What was that Liam guy's second name?
Marshall.
The Chunky Chicken Champions. Can't believe you missed the opportunity, Kev.
Oh, fuck.
Can't believe you missed it. Right.
Give me a second. What was the B-side, Corbett?
Was that the B-side to Hector Nickel or something? Was it not?
That was the B-side. I've got a LP upstairs or whatever you would call it.
Wows.
I know.
You couldn't spell LP, Tam. Right, Kev. Gears this week's
Kevin McKenna's.
This week's Kevin McKenna's. I've got 2 for you guys on the pod. I'll give you the clues, then we can get the answers at the end, and then I've got 1 for the socials. So first one, played for 2 Premier League clubs, both north and south of the border. Scored 36 goals over his 3 seasons in Gorgie, and enjoys a good bevy before a derby. So that's your first one.
I've never played for Arsenal.
You enjoy a good bevy during the derby, mate. Second one is joined after an amazing summer. Regarded as one of the best in his position and loves to shake everyone's hand before going off and can be known to burst into song. So that's your two for the pod, and we will go back to that later on. And I'll give you the one for the socials, which is caused a storm in his final season at the club, or was it to be his final season? 28 international caps with 1 goal, and single-handedly helped Hearts to a point at Easter Road after Big Zal seen red. He bossed the back makeshift 4 better than the Hibs manager did for his full team.
Can I ask a follow-up question? Yes
Sure,
or no
can.
answer only. Then the one that the first two that you've done for us, did they
Yes.
both play in the same team?
No.
No. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What was the first one again, Kev?
First one, played for 2 Premier League clubs, both north and south of the border. Scored 36 goals over his 3 seasons in Gorgie and enjoys a good bevy before a derby. I don't know if I should put allegedly in there. Oh, no, he's actually come out and confirmed that, so I'm fine.
Right. Cool. Right. Because we're quiz heavy since we have a full attendance because Hearts got beat and we're raging. Shanks. Let's have a Shanks McCann.
Here we go. Right. It was a Wednesday night at Tynecastle. We went into the game after 3 straight defeats, sitting 5th place with them in 3rd in early February. Each squad still retains at least, only 1 player each at their clubs today, who both play on the right-hand side. Going up 1-0 early doors from the Eastern European centre half after a tasty ball in from the right back. Conceded from a keeper mistake from the corner at the Gorgie end. A mix-up from their keeper rolling out to see a 25-yard ping into the bottom right corner from Mr. Hearts. The man from the Highlands slid onto a ball from the American Viking to put us up 3-1. Highlands slid in across with 20 to go. Their keeper made a cunt of it, and Mr. Hearts buried his second of the day for a 4-1 victory. The bread man was in disbelief as the Gorgie ran riot.
Is there a word limit on that? Fuck me, man.
Mate, we're going to have to do that as a mini-series along with the Foundation of Hearts interviews. Jesus. Was that you talked about the full 90 minutes?
That was my summary of Sunday.
I can't believe after all of that, the answer is still boozed. That's what's mental about that. Right, listeners, I know you're thinking, surely you can't have 3 quizzes, but you'd be wrong. We are content heavy this week. Brads, give us some conundrums.
Right. Well, Kev was saying about retiring this. We are 100% fucking retiring this one after this because I was struggling, and these 3 are fucking abysmal and probably already been said. So,
right. So Harry Cockring, right? Yep.
Right, as ever, I'll try and get the first name and the surname in there. So pay close attention. So the first one, Nicola's baby wouldn't stop crying. She swaddled her, she bounced her, she cradled her, but nothing was working. Then Jonathan Ross suggested this. NW is your initials. So I'll give you that one again. Nicola's baby wouldn't stop crying. She swaddled her, she bounced her, she cradled her, but nothing was working. Then Jonathan Ross suggested this. NW. Again, you need to give me a justification for your answer. Tam.
Roger.
Good luck getting an answer.
Right. Second one. My mum's sister was raging that she never got recognised for a BAFTA, a Golden Globes, or this other TV award. AN. My mum's sister was raging that she never got recognised for a BAFTA, Golden Globes, or this other TV award. AN. So there you go.
I can justify that one. You're fine.
Yeah, you're sound with that.
Right, last one, and this is literally my last ever one. Tam Tam was inconceivable when his ex-bud broke up with him and wouldn't stop crying. His mate Gaz went round to try and tell him to pull himself together, but Tam just kept crying about how much he cared for her, repeating this line over and over again. G-O.
How the fuck did you know how my weekend went there, man? What happened?
I couldn't listen to that, man. All I heard was inconceivable when it was meant to be inconsolable. Can we start again?
I know. I've read it wrong.
Well, to be fair, Tam is inconceivable, isn't he? Because he's a
true,
boy. So you're technically right.
I got too excited there with my last one. Tam is inconsolable when his ex-bud broke up with him and wouldn't stop crying. His mate Gaz went round to tell him to pull himself together, but Tam just kept crying about how much he cared for her, repeating this line over and over again. G-O. So there's your three boys. We can get thinking of them, and then we'll come to our answers later on. Look, he's all just sitting there like, thank fuck we're quitting that.
We already quitted it. That's the issue. It was gone.
Is quitted it the same as guiltiest? I don't know.
Close enough.
Let's go to our regular or resident pedantic wank. Ando, is that
Yes.
is that the wrong English? Yes.
Nobody cares. Move on.
Yeah.
This is fine for pre-show chat when you're wanting to have a go at Shanks, but when we're live and the tapes are rolling, no one cares. Let's go.
This one's for the features that never made it. Right, let's move on. Actually, one of the guys that we gave the tickets to we're going to do a proper shout out to everybody that helped donated and all that. We'll make a separate thing, just because there's so many of you to sort of thank or whatever. But Robert, the guy that we gave the tickets to, whose family you'll have seen in the video and stuff with Gary Locke, over the weekend, had one request for the pod this week, which was we were to let Tam speak. So Tam, give us some of your best chat for a minute. Tell us about your favourite. Tell us about your favourite Hearts game.
Why is he just put me on the spot there?
What? Because you didn't have a favourite Hearts game, or you tell us about your favourite Levy game.
You're a bastard. I hate you.
All right, final option. How about your favourite Scotland game?
Oh, I can tell you for days for that.
Right, there we go.
Favourite Hearts game? 2012 semi-final.
You don't even remember that.
I know, but it was class. It was a good day out. This result. Didn't expect it. Seems.
What's that you're opening now, Ando?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Kev. This is one of my 3 out of 8 cans of craft beers that I just got from Beer 52.
Beer 52? Never heard of them. How did you get involved in that?
Well, I went to beer52.com/my story, and all I paid was £5.95 to cover the postage and packaging, and I'm now part of Beer 52, which is the world's largest beer club. And one of the benefits of that is that each month members like me are sent a case with a different theme.
I've been a member for a few months as well. I've had beers for all over the place. Like past themes have included like Belgium, Korea, California, New Zealand, Germany, Melbourne. Like I've had a beer for Arno Zoom, Daniel Stendhal, Perry Kitchen, Patrick Cosnorbo. It's been class.
Does sound interesting. Anything else you get with it?
Yeah, aye. So it comes with a magazine and 2 snacks every month. And guess what? You don't like dark beer? Then choose the light option. Plus, you can pause or cancel at any time. All you need to do is go to beer52.com/my story. And as I say, pay the $5.95 postage to get all of this right now.
Sounds good.
Like a class deal to me.
Aye, it does sound good. We got that on the website?
Yes, we do. So check it out. beer52.com/my story.
Magic. I can look at that later on tonight.
Now for another quiz. I'm kidding. Right, headlines this week. Obviously, game on Sunday. Before it, both the clubs were wearing their training gear that had number 2, number 26 on it for Rixon and Zalukis. And again, just it shouldn't surprise us at the generosity of the football club and its fans or whatever. But I did want to take this opportunity to shout out the Rangers fans that were in hospitality as well. I believe that Hearts fan paid in excess of £3,500 for one of the warm-up T-shirts, and a Rangers fan paid in excess of £1,000 for, which is just essentially a T-shirt with a number on the back of it. So fair play to everybody. I believe on Sunday, in total, without the buckets and all that being counted up and added, just from the hospitality suites, I believe we raised about £11,000, which is outrageous.
Unbelievable.
Hearts had already tweeted in the week that all our efforts so far as a fan base, we've raised £40,000 for motor neurons, and announced that the club is going to have the sponsor again next season. Again, we've said it before, but when you think back to Wonga and the days of us basically bending over backwards for anybody just for the money, any sponsorship, because we were that in the shit, to now have had so many seasons to Save the Children and to have now been backed into another season of M&D on the top as well. It's just superb for the club all in it.
Yeah,
definitely. Is it bottomless
Brilliant
pockets
move.
kind of stuff?
Aye, it's great. And like, what can I say?
I was just going to say, it really brings it home. Obviously, we've seen the video the other night with one of our own supporters who's unfortunately got MND, and that was tragic to see. Some of the boys know the family on the podcast, so our thoughts go out to them, and obviously a brilliant recognition of our efforts as a club to continue the support with MND. So long may it continue, and we tried to do our own little bit at the weekend there. Big respect to the boys on the podcast that we're all involved in that, and all of you, and we'll continue to do more as much as we can throughout next season.
Aye, here. Like we said, the montage that Hearts released, obviously he's from Livingston. We know the family. We know his son. We know I've been on the bus and he's been on it as well. So, Steve and the family, we're all thinking about you. All the best for the fight. Anytime if you listen to the pod and you want to come on and talk crap or just have a laugh, talk about Hearts, you're absolutely free to come on whenever you want. Same goes out to anybody in his family. You want to talk to us, you want somewhere to vent or a wee bit of support, we're more than happy to help. So yeah, it's like Shanks says, all the best on what we're doing. And that led me on to another thing that I wanted to talk about as well. It's something that we put on Twitter. And again, like I said, we'll go into the ins and outs of who donated and what we donated and what we managed to do, because as we tweet as we speak now, we gave away over 100 tickets. Monetary terms, we raised what 1,100-1,200 quid, something like that, Andrew?
It was just a shade over 1,100 quid by the time the dust had settled on it. So yeah, it's like 1,165, I think it was the final figure.
The money that we had, the thing was, we'll do a proper thing where we'll thank everybody individually. But I said on Twitter about the whole, like, without getting all political or whatever, when you actually look at the things that football fans do, not just Hearts fans, like this is an opportunity to talk about. Hibs, for example, have invited Steve and his family to the derby. They're going to do something to help raise money for motor neurons for him. Rangers obviously did something for him as well. There was a nice bit by Neil McCann and was it Chris Boyd before the game on Sunday as well. They shouted out, they spoke about them. You look at the weekend before at St Mirren, we had food bank collection, Motherwell had food bank collection, Celtic had a food bank collection, Rangers do things in the community, Aberdeen do things in their community. And when you actually look at how football fans are treated, you'll have seen the video that was kicking about Twitter at the weekend, the police at the train station. There are batons out, police dogs, literally stopping football fans going to football. And you mirror that with idiots that glue themselves to the motorway. Do you know what I mean? They're getting pats on the back and, oh, please move. Oh, what's he? Wait, he's got a flare. He's got an open beer. You get a weekend in the cells. Football has to stop, and football fans, it has to stop being treated as if we're all mental criminals, because when you actually engage with a fan base, imagine what other initiatives we could do. I'll tell you, the guy Liam that's on Twitter that we speak to, him and some of his pals have arranged a collection and a donation for a kids charity thing. You see it, there's couches and couches of presents that are being donated for children over the festive period and stuff. You look at our own initiatives, you look at the reaction that we had to the Zal flag as well. As a podcast, we've raised, what, over £4,000 or something like that, just for 2 things where we've asked fans to help and get behind it. So it's about time.
You're underselling it there. 6.5k
you go.
between both those campaigns at a minimum. That's conservative. It's probably more than that.
And that's mental. And you think about how we are treated and how football fans are treated on the whole. Like, we need to start being treated like adults. Do you know what I mean? Because don't get me wrong, football's got many things wrong with it, but it's still treated like it's the dregs of society that are out every weekend to cause bother and cause nothing but hassle. So there we go. That's as political as we'll get on the podcast, but fair play to everybody, absolutely everybody, for all walks of life, all different supporters of all different clubs that have helped support all the stuff that we've done and help support different things. Fair play.
Yeah. You see, the bit that blows me away, just on the back of what you're saying, is how consistent it is. So it's like you look at how long has the Foundation of Hearts been running. No, but I'm just talking exclusively about Hearts fans here. The amount of guys that put their hand in their pocket every single month, and then when something like this comes along, it's like, oh, there's this initiative, or there's this initiative, or there's whatever it is. And obviously we've been part of 2 of them. It's like these guys are also continuing to put their money in every single month to save the football club, and that for me is the degree of separation between Hearts and all the other good initiative initiatives that are out there for other clubs. You know what they are, but we consistently do it all the time, whether it's Foundation of Hearts and all these charitable events. It's absolutely spectacular.
Yeah, it's outrageously good. One of the things, again, that's been in the headlines this week, and we're sick of talking about it ourselves, but we might as well talk about it because it's here and it looks like we're probably going to have some form of restrictions due to COVID again anytime soon. As it stands today, we're back to being told that if you can, you should be working from home. The vaccine passports or whatever to get into large-scale events, but it does feel like we're building towards potentially live streams or reduced crowds and all that sort of stuff again, doesn't it?
Hope not.
I don't know. Like, I was listening to Sports Scene before obviously we're recording tonight, saying that I know there's been a lot of confusion over what happened at the weekend in terms of the guidance that went out, but I don't know. I'm quite hopeful with this variant, if you want to call it that, is that it I think we'll be okay. I don't imagine that the government, well, obviously my government is different to yours, right enough, but I don't think that we're going to end up in too much of a bad scenario, because they've got one eye looking at the fact that there is no fucking money left, if you want to talk politically, to bail businesses and all that sort of stuff out now. The first time it happened, yes, absolutely, it was the right thing to do. I don't think as like a nation or as 2 separate nations we can afford to do this sort of stuff anymore. I would like to think that it doesn't come to that.
Well, here's hoping. Shanks.
So just wanted to take us back. So as a group of mates, we came together as boys that were just fed up having quizzes with our families because they were shite. So we had quizzes as Hearts fans with no football to watch, and it was absolutely dreadful. But we ploughed on week after week listening to Kev's pish until the moment we actually got to watch football, even though we weren't there. Let's not take for granted how far we are now. So even if we do need to step back a wee bit, and I know that's not what anybody wants to hear, we've still got the game. Fixtures are still going ahead. We're not calling leagues, none of that pish. We can still enjoy it as fans, even if we're not there. And I just don't want people to take that for granted. I mean, I'm sure Auchinleck will have a stream, for example. Have you ever seen teams like that? Do you know what I mean? Like, to be able to log into St Mirren telly is just like unbelievable. To be able to sit and watch your club when you're not there. So it's not that bad. It's temporary. We'll get through it. If it's shite for a wee bit, it will be shite. But the boys will still be here talking nonsense, and you'll still be able to pay a tenner to people that you hate in Glasgow, and you'll still be able to watch your club.
Thanks, Boris.
So get a grip.
Thanks, Boris.
Hashtag get boosted.
Or is it no? Thanks, Nicola.
Great. That's the serious stuff out the way. Let's have a wee chuckle. The man that we have been calling out for a long time, and I don't know if I'm happy or sad about it, but Jack Ross has been sacked by Hibs. We could be better and say that it's the first season he's had to go up against an actual proper Hearts side, and they've chucked him after a third of the season because he's 11 points behind the big team or whatever. Or we might be, 9 points now or something, 8 points. Whatever it is. They've managed to win against Dundee the night. Kev, anything to say on that?
I'm actually disappointed. I mean, the guy got him to a final. Plus the fact that, well, the Edinburgh Derby's not that far away, and I really wished he'd actually hung on. I think it's absolutely shameful that Hibs have sacked him. They should have kept with him. I've got a few mates who are season ticket holders at Easter Road. They said that the quality of football was terrible. He was one-dimensional, and that they generally had sort of walked out and decided not to bother supporting the team. I think that's absolutely shambolic. I'll call every single one of them out, and you should get behind their team. We have had to watch pretty shite managers over the years, and we've still been there week in, week out. Just shows you the difference between the two teams. Two teams.
Whoa, that gets cut. Kev, we said we weren't going political.
I know,
man. Kev. Jeez.
See your description there. You wouldn't believe that you learned off Craig Levine, would you?
That's where I was going, Tam. That's where I was going. It's almost like he's learned from someone else. Set me up perfect. This is like, I'll be serious for a second here, right? And this is going to sound better because of our Hearts podcast, right? But I find Hibs weird. A club hasn't benefited more from Hearts being an absolute omni-shambles for the past 5 seasons more than Hibs, because Hibs are historically, they finish between 4th and 9th. That's where they historically finish. Jack Ross managed to get them 3rd. It was the first time they finished 3rd in
15 years.
Something daft like that. Do you know what I mean? At one point, they were saying they wanted to get rid of Jack Ross and replace him with Neil Lennon, a man that didn't manage to get them to finish 3rd, who I think you did the figures, Ando. He won 3, lost 3, drawn 3. So failed to win in 2/3 of his matches against the worst Hearts that have been for, like I said, the past 25 years.
Mm-hmm.
Jack Ross was boring, he was rubbish, he was terrible, but he seemed to manage to get them to cup finals, get them to be 3rd, and now they're going to take a punt on a guy that's never been the manager and is assistant manager to the assistant manager at Belgium or whatever it is. It just feels a bit totally crazy. Brads?
I'm hoping that the bigger issue is with Hibs, it's Ron Gordon. I don't know what everybody else is thinking here. He came in as our kind of saviour, and he seems like an absolute rocket. Like, under his jurisdiction, under his control, they've brought in his son as the head of recruitment. He brought in a little bit of money, but then remortgaged the stadium and the training ground. He's been partly responsible for firing their whole youth system and their background staff, and is now going to be bringing in Sean Maloney, who's not managed anybody. Like, is he the bigger issue? I fucking hope so.
It's great fun, isn't it?
Oh, it's brilliant.
Sound like you're going to write a letter to American banks.
I know.
To get them shot.
Send a letter to America.
Yes, Shanks. That's why you're on the pod. You finally contributed. Thank you. Yeah. Well, like you said, it does. There are so many parallels to us at our worst, which I find really funny. The fact that, like you said, under Vlad, we had his son, his brother, his auntie, his Doug, all that, managing us, recruiting for us, playing for us, all this mad stuff. He seems to be doing the exact same thing. They have sacked their manager at the same point of the season when we sacked Craig Levine. They are going to take a punt on an unknown manager like we did with Cathro. There's so many sort of parallels to us at our worst. It makes it comically and ironically funny, considering they've laughed at us for so long. Ando?
Just I was speaking to one of my longest, oldest mates about this during the week, and he said that he was 100% on board with the sacking of Jack Ross. And I was like, right, okay, why? It's like he's got you to third place finish for the first time in whatever it is, as you say. I think it was about 15 years or whatever it is. But he said there was no connection there. Right, there was no connection. It was a very, very cold connection between Jack Ross and the actual Hibs fans. He feels that there was nothing there that they could actually rally behind and get on board with. He just didn't like the Jack Ross as the manager for that. There was no other way of saying it. As said already, no connection. He was glad to see the back of them, and that is quite an overriding opinion coming from the Hibs fans. I'm absolutely delighted. Because while we all say Jack Ross is a myth, he still has had the last season was the best season they've had in terms of like cup finals and all that sort of stuff for a good wee while. And they're just throwing away the best thing that's probably ever happened to them in the last decade. So, yes, thanks very much. Inject it in my veins. I'll have more thanks.
And that's all after the fact as well. They used to sing that they got Jack Ross while you signed Stendhal or whatever it was. They absolutely loved him. What they can't handle is that Hearts are bigger than them, better than them, and will finish above them this year because we've actually sorted ourselves out. That's why Jack Ross has been sacked. That's why there's 5,000 at Easter Road tonight. That's the real truth about it, and that's what they can't handle. That's why they say, "Oh, you're better." It's just the truth. You literally cannot handle Hearts coming up from the Championship. We were supposed to finish 10th. We were supposed to be shite. Tam McManus said, "I can't wait for Hearts to come up for the Championship so Hibs can batter them." And you'll spend the rest of your time looking at our arse as we climb the table and you fall the table. Know your fucking place. Shanks.
I can't follow from what you've just said for what I was going to say. It's really fucking hate me.
Right, well, we'll move on then. We'll move on. Any other headlines catch your eye this week?
Charlie Adams made a so hopefully that's the downfall of Dundee this season and they'll get relegated. That'll be brilliant.
But it's funny that he's got more points than Dundee, so there you go.
I love that.
So, that was a bit of a strange one, isn't it? Why is it Dundee? They're just going around signing all the absolute nutcases of Scottish football. They've got Cummins, they've got Griffiths, they've got Charlie Adam, and they've got that wee guy that is about 19 but looks 57, whatever he's called.
McGowan or something.
Aye, there you go.
I don't know if you've seen the night as well. Hibs fans clapped on Griffiths and Cummins tonight.
Yeah, what?
They clapped on Griffiths and Cummins when they came on tonight.
Superb.
I'll just leave that there.
Aye, that sums it all up, doesn't it? There we go. Right, cool. Moving on. Obviously, we had the game on Sunday. We played Rangers at Tynecastle, finished Hearts 0, Rangers 2, but in true Hearts fashion, that doesn't tell almost nearly enough of the story. So, anybody want to take your overall thoughts on the game, Kev? What were you thinking?
So my overall thoughts of the game are, we started off brilliantly, I thought. For the first 10, 15 minutes of the game on Sunday, I thought we actually were on the front foot. We were being a lot more direct with our passing. We were closing them down in their third. Alan McGregor done brilliantly at wasting about 7.5 minutes for every single by kick that he was taking. But we genuinely looked like we were on the front foot, and we looked a totally different side to the side that we actually that started at Amon Vale the week before. So you in yourself, you're starting to have a bit more confidence about this could be great. We could actually get a good result here. We could also show the fact that we're actually performing really well at home. And we have a couple of chances. I think probably the best one's the one that falls to Boyce, but the ball just doesn't come down quick enough for him. He snatches it a little bit and doesn't get enough height on it. McGregor makes a fairly comfortable save. And then by making this, or by playing what it seemed to be for me anyway, this really high defensive line, Rangers identified it pretty quickly. They tried one, and I think it was Aribo again, just couldn't quite get his foot to it. Then, of course, there's, in my opinion, there's a number of individual errors for the first goal. Devlin should have done a hell of a lot better at shutting down the actual cross. Then for the second goal, again, playing that high line, they've tried the same thing again. This time it comes off, and it's fair, fair hit for the boy Aribo. He's actually put it, pulled it down and put it away really well. Other than that, and then another save from that Gordon had from Arfield in the second half. Rangers they still looked good when they had the ball. I think we actually allowed them to look good, and we spoke about this last week. I do think we actually let Rangers look good when we actually gave them the time on the ball, because we weren't closing them down like we had done in that first 10-15 minutes period. Then, as I say, I know we'll go on to speak about it, the amount of chances that we create with a certain individual who always looks to, rather than go away from a defender, goes towards a defender. I don't think I need to say who that particular individual is. You always feel like you're actually playing with 10 men with him. And I'm sorry to say it, but he's got to take another sit on the bench. My issue is I don't know who you bring in now. Gino would be normal, but again, Gino lost the head on Sunday. He didn't need to get involved in that situation. From my point of view, Devlin made an actually cracking tackle. So there was a lot of good points about Sunday's game, a lot of points that we will go over, but it comes down to the fact that the chances that we had, we simply didn't take, and we didn't have somebody who was clinical enough to actually find the back of the net.
I agree. I actually think Gino is harshly treated. He should never have been booked in the first place. It's a clear corner. Doesn't touch. The thing that annoys me the most is the ref looked desperate to book him, which the referee became, as they did say on Sportscene, and was obvious at the game, had lost complete and utter control of the game. I'll highlight, because we didn't want to sound bitter, he booked Ryan Kent for something that Devlin and Scott Arfield did in the first half, which was blowed for offside and then kicked the ball away, basically. He booked Kent immediately, like almost instantly after he'd blew the whistle for the offside, and Kent put it over Gordon and into the net. He just completely and utterly lost the plot. You could see straight away where the Gino situation, Gino goes to break it up, do you know what I mean? And then it gets a bit handbaggy, but nothing more than that. Do you know what I mean? There's a bit of pushing and shoving. If you're going to book Gino for his role in it, then Aribo has to get booked, Kamara has to get booked, Devlin has to get booked, because they're all doing the exact same thing that Gino did. But you watch the replay, the ref is hand in his pocket pretty much almost instantly, because he's looking to book Gino for literally breaking up the play thing. And like you said, Kev, you're right, was a perfectly good challenge from Cammy Devlin. And to be fair, I think I called it out in the pod after the Celtic game, Cammy Devlin's had a few of those challenges where he's been penalised, and they're perfectly good challenges. He had one in the corner down where the Green Brigade sit against Celtic, where he won the ball fairly but took the man after it, which is
nothing wrong with that.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. What's your thoughts on the boys' chance? Because my opinion on it, having watched it again, is actually the easiest chance out of every chance that was created in the whole game. It's an easier chance than the one that McGregor saves, where he has to lob it over the keeper. When you watch it back, it takes a while for the ball to come down, but Tavernier and Goldson are terrified to challenge him because they're in the box. They know that the ball's coming, he's in front of them. They either have to go head it, or they have to just wait and hope that he doesn't stick it away, and then they can get a block on it. He's got time, and he just makes an arse it. Hits him in the ankle.
For me, he does.
The looks of it.
For me, he has time for a touch, bring that down, and then actually place it. I think with it being so early on in the game, I don't know if that has something to do with it, but you should be ready for that, taking that chance early on. But we've not started very well with any games, and to even get chances was decent to see. But I think with a bit more time and just a bit more composure, any other striker puts that away, to be honest.
See,
He seemed-
this is maybe a little bit of a theme with Boyce's game, and I don't want to speak too harshly about him because obviously we're bestos and that. But I found that a couple of times on Sunday he had a tendency to overcomplicate things. It's like there was one where we're the second half we're going towards it, and it's like he took about 3 touches when one would do. And you think, right, that didn't happen just once; it happened 2 or 3 times. And you know what? If I'm not a prize-winning fucking football striker, otherwise I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you dickheads. But it just seemed that to overcomplicate things on too many occasions on Sunday for me, and that was a bit of a drag factor.
Shanks.
I also we forget that he's up there on his own. I do feel that the front three could have done a lot better on Sunday for me. I did feel that Boyce was having to get out wider than he would have liked because he just wasn't getting the service. And therefore, he's had 4 clear-cut chances. He's had the dink, he's had the side net, he's had the through ball from Devlin, and then he's had the shot over the bar 7 yards out. Was there a bit of tiredness from him? Because actually he's had to do a lot of grunt work himself to get into those positions because he just wasn't getting the service. Because personally, for me, I thought that GMS and Mackay were just not strong enough. They weren't giving him the service that he needed, and I thought that Gino was fairly indecisive when he did get the ball at his feet. So as much as, yes, we can say that our number one striker's not burst the net, it's an easy cop out. I think he's not had a lot to go off.
I want to absolutely pull you out for that part, by the way, but
okay.
I can't believe
look forward to it.
Mackay done nothing. He was like our most creative player on the pitch.
So let's replay what I just said. Did I say Mackay done nothing?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah. Pretty much
I said I thought he was weak. I thought he was weak, so I felt that he got pushed off the ball quite easily. That was all I said. I never said he'd done nothing.
Brad's.
I know we've covered this before, and obviously the 4-2-3-1 is what we set up there. My issue is with Boyce, and I've said it before, and I'm not making any apologies for saying it again. With him in the attack, everything has to go through him, and I think that plays in the mind of Mackay, that plays in the mind of GMS, that plays in the mind of Gino. That every ball they should be looking to find Boyce, and it's piss easy for Goldson and Bassett. And Bassett didn't have a good game, by the way. He should have been absolutely ripped to shreds. Everything has to go through Boyce, and it's just so easy to defend against because the two of them just on his first touch, and then they turned it over loads of times. They need to have that 3-prong attack, so they should have been much higher. GMS and Mackay, they looked lost in that first half. They didn't know when to press. They didn't know how to press, especially GMS. He was fucking terrible. It was. Barisic was always going to be that out ball every single time, and he waited till Barisic got the ball and then went to press. I mean, it's just basic football. Surely if you're sitting that high up the park, you all press together. And when we all press together, that's the first 10 minutes, as Kev said, that was our best period of play when we were all pressing. When we hammered Celtic 4-0, it's when we were all pressing. It's an all or nothing approach. And for me, I don't like having Boise as that central. I want him to have that 3-prong attack. That was my biggest downfall for me.
And, well, I actually disagree with nearly everything that everybody said. I thought Hearts battered Rangers for the first 45 minutes. The stats prove that and back that up. Rangers scored with their only two attempts on goal in the first half. But I do agree with what you're saying, is that there were too many weak points for Rangers to get out any form of press. The thing I like the most about Boyce is the fact that he never stands still. He never plays between the box. He never plays between the goals. He's always running. He's always moving. He's always trying to link. And he's got a great understanding with Mackay, who matches that. There was a great example of that in the second half. And I'm going to contrast the two of them because I think it's important to show where it is. Barry Mackay in the second half lost the ball about 20 yards out from the Rangers goal. He charged 40, 50 yards back to 20 yards outside our box and won the ball back, made up for his mistake, and we played again. Watch the Rangers' second goal, right? And watch Gary Mackay-Stevens. It is, so you have to get into the mindset of what's just happened. Rangers have had long ball over the top and scored. This guy's played the Champions League. He's won trophies. He's played for Scotland. You're thinking, right, we've just conceded with a long ball over the top. and use our right to say it, they tried it before that and almost got through, then they did get through, and then 4 minutes later, the centre-back has the ball 10 yards off his own 18-yard line, and Gary Mackay-Stevens stands and watches him and gives him all the time in the world to ping it 70 yards and they score again. That's no Ewan Henderson. That's no Finlay Pollock. That is an experienced pro that's played at the highest level that must and surely understands I need to go press that ball because Mackay's doing it on the other side. Boyce is doing it in the middle. This is on my side of the park. It's my responsibility to go and press that ball. And I'm not saying it makes any difference, but if Goldson doesn't have all the time in the world and Mackay-Stevens goes and interacts with him, he maybe rushes it. He maybe takes an easier pass. He maybe makes an arse of the pass, but he doesn't. He literally watch the second goal and watch Gary Mackay-Stevens. He does not move any inch of his body towards the ball. He's just happy to see it go. And that's what really, really annoys me the most about Mackay-Stevens compared to Mackay-Ginnelly. Now, Ginnelly, for example, has been pretty poor this season, right? He hasn't hit any of the heights that he's hit last season. But he always shows for the ball. He always tries. He always gets on the ball and tries to do something. Gary Mackay-Stevens doesn't anticipate knockdowns, second balls, ricochets. He doesn't almost capitalise on a bad pass back or a deflection or whatever because he's never anticipating it. He's just standing still. He just does not look like he wants to be there. And that for me was the only thing on Sunday that I thought as a team we got wrong. I think Robbie, we've said it 100 times, I don't get why he brings Gary Mackay-Stevens into that team when we're trying to play like that. It didn't work at Aberdeen, it didn't work at Celtic Park, and it hasn't worked on Sunday. Cochrane bursts his balls. He's one of the best players at the club. He's been probably one of the most successful players at the club. He scored 2 goals. He's got assists. He tackles. He tracks back. And if you look at the dynamic for the game last week against Livingston, if you say, well, what changed in the second half? How did we look better? Then huge plus points are Taylor Moore's attacking sense and Cochrane's attacking sense on the other side. And he's dropped him at the team. And I think that what you said, Brad's, is right. Whenever we press, and you know what it's like because you've coached and you've played and you know all that sort of stuff, if you've got a three-pronged attack and you go press and only 2 out of the 3 press, they're always going to have Barisic. They're always going to have Bassey. They're always going to have a man free. And that's just what happened. And it was just the easy pressure release valve thing for Rangers on Sunday was just wherever Gary Mackay-Stevens was, go down his side because he was doing fucking nothing. Kev?
You mentioned a great point there about Tavernier. When you saw Mackay on the same side, so left-hand side of the pitch, he was shutting down Tavernier. Tavernier would always pass the ball inside because he never had the opportunity to play that 70-yard pass, that 30-yard pass. He would always look for the easy option, and that's what you're really, probably supposed to do. And he looked for that easy option into the middle of the park. And let's get that ball across the other side. So you can see straight away that didn't happen when Mackay was on that side because he was shutting Tavernier down, wasn't he given the opportunity. As soon as Tavernier's got the opportunity to do it, because as you rightly say, GMS is not closing him down, is not acting, and he's not on his toes to actually do that, that's where you get the chance to actually do it. And I know we spoke about it in the game on Sunday, but it's just poor from what is supposed to be a professional football player at the highest level, or who has played at the highest level.
Yeah, I like the one thing I would say about Sunday and Tamil, coming to you in a wee second, was the shape and the balance to the team was right on Sunday. That feels like the shape and the balance for the team going forward. It felt like we had the best players in our best positions other than GMS or whatever. Like I like the way we set up to play on Sunday. That would be something I would say that I would hope to see again on Saturday. Sam, what were you going to say?
I was literally going to ask you a question, what you thought about the shape for Sunday. so thanks for answering my question, man.
But if you look, like, there's loads of things at play, and we're bad for it all the time as well, right? And you've got to acknowledge the fact that Rangers have got really good players. Like, they're a good side. Their budget's fucking 9 times more than what ours are.
So they're not top of the league by accident.
Exactly. And I think what I would like to highlight with the boys' things there is the difference between Alfredo Morelos was absolutely useless on Sunday. He did nothing, literally nothing, but he took the only chance he got. Do you know what I mean? He scored. And you look at Boyce's attempted chip, poorly executed, the one in the side netting is actually the best snapshot that he has. But the difference between that and the one where Devlin slides him in is, and Brad, you'll know this as a resident goalkeeper, Alan McGregor is rooted to the spot for the one that hits the side netting. And do you know why? Because it was along the ground. He literally had it low and hard, and that's the hardest thing for a keeper to react to. And then when Devlin slides him through, it's 4 foot off the ground at a perfect height. If you were a goalkeeper to say, where do I want it to go? Perfect. It was a perfect height, do you know what I mean? And it's that difference. Morelos' finish was low and hard. Aribo, low and hard into the corner. It takes goalkeepers out. Do you know what I mean? It's very, very difficult for keepers that are as tall as McGregor and Gordon to get down to those ones. And I just think there's a reason why Barry Mackay's at Hearts. There's a reason why Liam Boyce is at Hearts. And, it's those... Barry Mackay has been sensational right up until it comes to final product, whether it be the colour pass or putting the ball in the net. And Liam Boyce, if Liam Boyce could score goals, Liam Boyce would be worth £20 million because everything else about his game is superb.
Yeah, just to go back to just very, very quickly, Labouring, if you go back to the BBC highlights, you look at any time he gets the ball, he has a tendency, and it's not just in this game, but it's been a tendency so far this season, is just to overcomplicate it. I said this earlier on. You look at the amount of times that he could have maybe just one touch and absolutely put the laces through it and hit it, but no, 2, 3, 4, maybe try for a 5th touch or whatever it might be. That's the drag factor to his game for me, and it's something that definitely needs work. But again, I'm not gonna chastise him because he's obviously a top goal scorer this season. There are things that can improve, the same as anyone's game within that team. But the one thing that I found on Sunday was the one thing I've got written down here: overcomplicated, far too overcomplicated. Don't take 3 touches when just fucking hit it first time. If you hit it first time and it doesn't work, fine. Try it again next time. Don't take 3 or 4 touches when one will do.
Brad.
Here's a wee different point of view for you, just a wee topic changer. Does anybody else feel like Suter is playing like a scout's watching him?
Mate,
By the way, yes, because
on my paper.
aye, it's like, because I said this to the missus, and she's, bless her, she's Australian, she doesn't know what she's talking about, or even what I'm talking about, which is how is John Suter turned into a right winger? It's like there was one point down the far end of the fucking the Gorgie, Gorgie, and took the ball down, beat a man, and then crossed it. I was like, all right, you're a right winger now, are you, John Suter? Give me more of that. I'm fine with that.
Sorry, Ando. Corbin, you go.
No, what I had written down was how bad is he for both the goals, the second one in particular. Why did he not? What was stopping him from sliding?
He took a step back as well. When the ball's coming in, should have took a step back.
But even there, it's his thing was he can't take the risk that play Aribo offside. Our outlook to play football is that we play 3-5-2 or whatever it is you want to call it, because we have full faith that Kingsley, Halkett and Suter will deal with it. If they don't, Craig Gordon will deal with it. So I've got no issue with where the line is. It's fine, we're pressing, it's what we do. But what bugs me is he sees the ball, he matches the run, but at no point does he slide to block the shot. Aribo isn't miles away in front of him. He had plenty of opportunities to try and get in front of the shot, if you know what I mean, and he just kind of casually sticks a foot out, and it's a bit like I just didn't get it.
It's been a couple of weeks now. There's a wee mistakes coming in. I don't know if he's just thinking too much about what's going on with his career and where he's going, and I don't know if his head's been turned by offers or what, but it just doesn't seem to be hitting out. The second half, actually, I thought he played much better and pressing forward and kept going forward. It was good. But that goal, I know that you're saying about going in and closing down Aribo, But see if you watch them in training, or if you go 10 minutes before the game starts, they do that endlessly, that long ball over the top, where they all drop back off as soon as the player's going to go. You know Goldson's playing that long ball. He's just done it 3 times beforehand. He's going to do it again. So they watch when the ball's going to be played. They all drop back. Either him or Halkett presses the ball, another 2 squeeze in. It is basic defending. He watches the rebound, then just stares at Goldson. He loses his man completely. He doesn't drop back. It's a 70-yard pass. You can't get beat. Like, I'd be pulling the under-14s from my school off the park if they were getting beat with 70-yard balls.
Isn't especially when it's the same passage of play that led to the opening goal. Do you mean, like, and one person that we haven't, Cammy Devlin is pathetic for the first goal. I have absolutely that fashion Sakala didn't know where he needed a shite or a haircut. He had no idea what he was doing, and he doesn't have a clue what's going on. And to get beat so easily was just pathetic. But Taylor Moore on the other side as well is beaten by the worst drop of the shoulder in the history, man. Like, how did they not know that that's what was happening? It was telegraphed. Do you know what I mean? It was horrendous. Cammy, Devlin, Shanks, go.
No, but on that, as well as we're saying that Devlin fucking shat it because he thought that they were going to get a penalty, so he just bothered to not do anything. But it was Kingsley. Kingsley's man. Devlin, it shouldn't have been him in there. Kingsley was just floating about in the middle doing hee-haw. So I think it was a calamity of errors.
Did Kingsley no win the initial header?
It's because he'd been pulled across. Moore went down to close over, so Suter goes across.
They all go across one, and Devlin drops back one, which is the way that we play. Kingsley wins the initial contact, which is then where folk like Devlin or Haring or whoever should engage type thing. And again, it's like he does nothing. He literally stumbles and falls. He's beat by.
Doesn't even do that.
To be fair, Kingsley and Halkett should have been on Morelos as well. They both got pulled towards the ball after Devlin got beat, and that's when Morelos was left free.
Aye, but like, again, to go back to schoolboy stuff, stop the problem at source. That's number one. Do you know what I mean? Like, you literally stop the bit, and both of them are thinking, well, if he gets past Devlin, occupy the space, like block off the front post or that sort of stuff. It's just that both of them did it at the same time, which is shite. But I thought it was poor. But my point that I was going to say overall was that Cammy Devlin, we all love Cammy Devlin. You know that he's everything that we've wanted for a long time in terms of his energy. He's just a constant nuisance and all that sort of stuff, which is great. But he's not impacting football matches anywhere near as much as he was when Benny was there, and it's starting to become really noticeable. I thought Peter Haring was brilliant on Sunday. I thought he won everything. He kept the ball ticking over. He made intelligent passes. And you're watching Peter Haring trying to burst for the midfield, and that's not his game. Like, do you know what I mean? He's just not fast enough. He's not quick enough. And you watch Cammy Devlin try to do the same. The opening 20 minutes, Cammy Devlin was abysmal. He fell over the ball, stumbled over the ball, gave the ball away, lost his man for the opening goal. It was just one of the poorest performances that we've seen probably from Cammy Devlin since he joined the club.
Playing passes to the wrong side of the man, like at least on 3 or 4 occasions. I said this to Tam at half time, because it was actually disappointing to see, but it doesn't offset the fact that, yes, we fucking love him, and he does bring a good dimension to the team.
Kev?
I said it on Sunday, for the first, when we were actually more dominant than Rangers that first 10-15 minutes, Devlin didn't do a great deal, as in stood up to anybody, or he was making sure the ball continued to move, and it's one of the best things about his game. When he started to then actually try and take a touch and try and create things, it just wasn't working for him. Him getting booked late on in the match, for everybody wondered about Corbett and I. It
was a beautiful moment, wasn't it?
It was the greatest thing in the day for those guys who definitely won decent money from it. What does this, and that's a question to everybody, does this now mean that McKenna is going to have at least a couple of games where he can show what he can do in that same position as what Devlin's been playing?
Well, actually, it was going to be one of my things that I was going to get to next, is that as much as I was disappointed to see Cochrane drop out of the team, I don't know how McEneff drops out from Sunday, if I'm being brutally honest. I thought McEneff was by far probably our best player in the park against Livingston, driving forward. a midfielder that takes shots. Do you know what I mean? He had 2 or 3 pops at goal against Livingston. Have any seen Cammy Devlin shoot? I haven't.
No.
I think I've ever
Genuinely,
seen
I haven't.
him. And Peter Herring's having to stroll forward and ping. And again, to go back to when you watch football, when you watch play develop, Rangers were happy to let Cammy Devlin have the ball 30 yards for goal, for Peter Herring to have the ball 30 yards for goal, because they know they're not going to ping it and they're not going to shoot, they're not going to score. And that's like, that should be a worry. Like, you should have goal threats all over the park. And I put it on Twitter the other day, and it wasn't to try and make or slam our season and make it sound like we've done shite, because we've had a great season and it's great to have goals from all over the park. But now what we're starting to see is, if Liam Boyce doesn't score, we're having to be dug out by Kingsley. We're having to be dug out by John Souttar, Halkett, Cochrane. I think I'd seen they'd scored between all of our defenders, like Smith, Cochrane, Moore, Halkett, Souttar, Kingsley. They've scored 10 or 11 goals in this 18 games that we've played this season. Between Barry Mackay, GMS, Ginnelly, McKenna, Halliday, all of our attacking or our midfielders, we've scored 7 goals. Do you know what I mean? You look, Benny hasn't scored, Devlin hasn't scored, Barry Mackay hasn't scored, Gary Mackay-Stevens has scored 2, Ginnelly scored 1, Woodburn scored 2, like Nando scored 1. So it's becoming a bit of a reoccurring and glaring theme that if you stop Boyce from scoring, we struggle to score, and it's a big area for development in January, and it's got to be the priority for getting players in.
Definitely.
Savage did an interview this week as well. Did anybody catch it? About our recruitment policy?
Yep.
So clearly I never. So would anybody like to say something?
I thought you were going to go over it there.
But again, no, and again, this is something that I seen somebody on Twitter, Big Rab, talking about again, where he said that, yeah, Sunday's disappointing, but look at the strides that we've made with one transfer window. And even then, Savage didn't have his head recruiter, he didn't have his recruitment analysis in or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? We were still working with some of the guys that were there before, the old way of thinking and all that sort of stuff. We've had one transfer window under this new way of doing things, and look at the players that we've unearthed. You know, Cammy Devlin is a player that's probably potentially could make us money. Benny could make us money. You're looking at the type of players that we're bringing in. If we can get Moore or Cochrane or whatever, then that's superb business. So, you know, I don't have any doubts that in January we'll look to address it, but it's something that if we could add that to our game, we'd be real contenders. And that's the biggest disappointment for me from the last couple of games in Sunday or whatever, is that pre-Motherwell, when we podded, we had a genuine opportunity to go top of the league. Rangers weren't playing, Celtic weren't playing, their European fixtures, the way our fixtures went, if we'd beat Motherwell and then beat St Mirren at home, we'd have been top of the league that game. Yeah, we'd had games in hand or whatever, but it's a psychological boost thing. 4 or 5 games or 3 or 4 games later, we're now 12 points behind, potentially 15 points behind Rangers because they've got a game in hand. Yeah, we're behind Celtic as well, and it's stuff like that I hope guys like Savage and Robbie and stuff are looking at and then they're being disappointed in, because there's games where we didn't deserve anything. Aberdeen, Motherwell, probably Rangers at home on Sunday, in terms of, you know, you've got to be clinical. You can't take that away for the fact that Rangers scored their goals. But you look at like the points that we dropped at Ross County, the points we've dropped at home to Aberdeen, the points we've dropped even against Hibs. When you look at how they've performed since then, you know, opportunities, the Gary Mackay-Stevens sitter, we really should have more points in the bag, and I hope that's something that's driving the management team and Joe Savage. Kev?
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and it's just when you talk about Robbie there, it's something I want to touch on from last week's pod. I think Ando had mentioned about the fact that, is it a case of the manager and his final few words before they go out in the park, is that what drives the element of poor performances and poor starts? When we were 2-0 down on Sunday, I don't know if anybody noticed, but to use a word that that Corbett loves, Nielsen was going apoplectic, I believe is Corbett's favourite word.
Apoplectic.
That's the one. Not a word I've used ever in my vocabulary. Aye, same thing. Because a lot of time we were actually making the easy option pass, and he's telling them, "Look, let's push on." He's wanting them to move forward, and I think a lot of what we've spoken about tonight comes back on that element that Robbie's wanting them to do one thing, and for whatever reason, they sometimes aren't actually believing in themselves. So from that side of things, I do think that Robbie and Savage and the whole recruitment team will be sitting down, if they've not already done so, and said, "This is what we need to look at. This is what we need to be bringing in to hopefully counteract what we've seen over the last 2 months, where it's been poor performances by certain individuals, just maybe not having the same high standards as we had at the beginning of the season."
It's just like we said, I tweeted on Sunday, I don't think it's poor performances, because I don't think Rangers go away from Sunday thinking that they've played amazing, but they've been clinical and they've done what they needed today. And that's, if you look at the chances that we have, you only need to take one of them, it changes the complexion of the game.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean? And it's that we're missing. We had opportunities at Motherwell in the first half. You think of the chance that went through for Woodburn, terrible touch. The one for Ginnelly, terrible touch. He tries to cut inside onto his right foot when he should have hit it with his left. They're wee moments that make the difference between, sustaining a challenge or pushing on to Celtic and just being happy to finish third. Ando.
And that's it. My mate Adam, that I know listens, he texted me that exact same thing. Says the damage was done in the first quarter of an hour of that game. He said, on balance, if you take the first 15 minutes out of that game, we had enough to match Rangers, and we probably would have went on and won that game based on the chances created, etc., etc. And that's coming from a dyed-in-the-wool Rangers fan. He's thinking, right, if it hadn't been for selling mistakes, it could have been a completely different thing. So it's maybe not something we should get too bogged down about. You take what you can get against the Old Firm. It didn't work out for us on Sunday, but you know what? We're still third. Fuck it.
Aye. And you can't build your season on if Manny had boss. Do you know what I mean? It's not that type of stuff. So there we go. The last thing I wanted to just quickly touch on for the Rangers game before we put it in the bin where it deserves, with another sort of VAR controversy thing. What's people's thoughts on the potential penalty? Anybody thinking it's
I'd take it. I didn't spot it during the game. Obviously, you see the highlights and you notice. Obviously, it puts Boyce off his shot as well. I just thought it was a shocking miss, but actually the fact that it hit the hand was. But VAR gives that 100%. I think he gives it.
Does it get that it's out first?
I don't think it was it. No, I think GMS done really well there, to be honest.
They got the what up, sorry, Brad?
They not got the app. It tells you it goes over the line.
Aye, but that's only if it's a goal.
Is it not all the way in that line?
No, but
that's only between the posts.
No, we don't have that in Scotland either.
We don't have that
no,
either.
we do. No, we do, but it's only for Scottish Cup games. It doesn't exist in the league. So for Scottish Cup,
and that was
a certain round onwards.
I think that was only for the Scottish Cup. The 1 hour Scottish Cup final. I don't think we used it in the Scottish Cup last year.
It's the ones. I think it's only the games that are played at Hampden. Is that right?
Oh, really? I don't know.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I'm pretty sure it is.
But I wasn't sure if the ball went out. But you're right. I think if we have VAR, it gives a penalty. There was some shocking stuff. Kev, we got a corner. We got a corner for a ball. It was about 10 yards.
Yeah, exactly.
In the Wheatfield, like literally where section G is, whatever had happened, Rangers clear it, and it comes quite clearly out for a throw-in, and they gave us a corner.
So consider this from my point of view. I'm in the opposite stand from you. I can see the flight of the ball heading over towards Wheatfield G. It heads towards the corner flag initially and then curves away. And it's not even close. It's about 4 fucking yards inside the touchline. You think, right, okay, fine. Oh no, that's a corner. All right, okay.
To be honest, I'm glad
enough.
you said that, because I thought I was seeing things. Because I turned into my dad and was like, "That was definitely a throw," and he was like, "No, it's a corner."
No, but bear in mind, Tam, you're down the far opposite corner of the ground. But I've seen it pretty much in line.
Corner where Scott Arfield just fucking headed it away because we couldn't beat the first man now.
Aye, other than when we we must have found Austin McPhee's password for the old how to do a set piece computer, because we had
three in a row,
three of
eh?
them. They're actually quite good. We did one against Hibs as well that we should have scored for. We almost scored for one of them as well, but our corners were a joke. The one point, what were we doing, Kev? Was it in the first half or something? We had Kingsley's hit the bar for 30 yards with 2 minutes to go or whatever it is. We have the exact same scenario in the first half where he's maybe 30 yards out and Gary Mackay-Stevens hits the free kick. And I'm going, why the fuck is he hitting it? Why is he hitting this free kick? And they were like, how? I was like, he's going to literally just do one of those annoying little chip curved balls right into Alan McGregor's hand. I bet you. What does he do? Chip curve thing right into Alan McGregor's hand. So I was like, honestly, man, what?
Did McGregor take that, then fall to the ground, roll about, and waste 7 minutes?
McGregor is still in Tynecastle right now, going back and forth for 6-yard box, hitting his fucking by kick. That was pathetic. And
it says a lot that they were time wasted after 20 minutes. Jesus, eh?
How many times did they fake a pass to the right?
Aye, it was fair play to Cammy Devlin too, who's called it out in the press today about how ridiculous the time wasting was, which was cool. Right, so after all that slavering, what we doing for Dundee? What's your changes? What's your predictions? Shanks, you can start the ball rolling.
Jeez Louise, coming at me was a brave choice. My prediction is that we will win 2-0, and I would like to see Woodburn start and replace GMS.
Okie-doke. And who are you bringing in to replace Devlin?
He's not out for the Dundees. Only out for County.
All right. Okay.
Is it just out for
how does that work? That's weird.
I don't know how that works either, to be honest.
Okay. So
series of yellow cards, so he doesn't miss the next game once the next again, and that's weird as shit.
No. Thanks for.
He'll be back for him.
I just said, Kev. Cheers.
Yes, he will be. Shanks. That's why everybody was betting on him getting booked on Sunday.
Right, 2-0 to Hearts, Woodburn for GMS, and then that's your only change. Cool. Brad's.
Right. I'm changing shape, so I'm not going with a 4-2-3-1. I'm going 3-4-3. I'm bringing Cochrane in, Harron and Devlin in the middle, Moore out on the other side, and I'm having a front three of Mackay, Boyce, and Woodburn.
Did we play 4-2-3-1 on Sunday? I didn't think we did. I still thought we played.
No, it's 4-2-3-1.
I think we did, but it was strange because Mackay and GMS were
both on the same side.
On the same side of the left.
Well, I think Mackay was doing GMS's role as well as trying to do his own role. That was the issue.
But then we played Ginnelly and we also played Taylor Moore. So I thought it was Kingsley, Suter, Halkett, and then we had Taylor Moore, GMS as our wing backs, Devlin and Haring, and then the front three, Boyce, Ginnelly and Mackay. I thought it was 3-4-3.
GMS never tracked back once. He was never playing.
No, I know he didn't. I know he didn't track back once, but it was definitely playing
all
wing back.
All the graphics had it set up as a 4-2-3-1.
No, it definitely wasn't a 4-2-3-1. Like, absolutely was not.
It wasn't a 3-4-3 either. It was just weird. To be honest with you.
Who played four in the back? Like, who was playing? Where were the Kingsley play?
Kingsley was left back, Halkett, Suter, and Moore was right back. Then it was Harron and Devlin in the middle. Then it was GMS, Mackay meant to be through the middle, and Gino wide right with Boyce at top.
Maybe. It's not how I've seen it in the day, like, but never mind. Right, cool. You're going back to the 3-4-3 then?
I'm going back to 3-4-3. Taking out, I'm putting in Cochrane and bringing in Woodburn for Gino, obviously, because he's suspended. Taking GMS out, and I will go with 2-0 as well.
Nice one. Tam?
Pretty similar to Brad's, to be honest. I think we would go back to the back three away from home. I would, although I quite like the shape, and I would like to see McKenna come in and play that number 10 role. So I'm just completely going opposite to what I first said. So I keep the same shape. Take GMS, put McKenna in. I reckon Woodburn has to come on. He proved enough in the last 10 minutes that he was up to something for Ginnelly, who's obviously suspended. And I think we scrape a 1-0.
Kev?
I'm going to actually copy Brad's. The in regards to Gino, who of course is suspended, bring in Woodburn. I think Woodburn, Boyce in the middle, Woodburn on the on left or right. And we know after 20 minutes it swaps around anyway. And Cochrane for GMS, because I think GMS needs a wee
Transfer.
bit of a time. Well, I wasn't going to say transfer. I was actually going to say maybe a wee swim in the river. But it's definitely time to bring, I think, Cochrane back in. Corbett, you said it earlier on. I think second half at Livy showed straight away the guy's mentality of he wants to push forward. But he's also got the engine. He's also got the football and knowledge that he knows when he needs to come back and cover. And from that point of view, part of me actually thinks he's maybe one of the first 2 or 3 names on the actual team sheet, in my opinion. So I would definitely have Cochrane back in the team for GMS.
Nice one. Ando?
So I'll make it nice and simple. When was the last time we won away from home in the league?
Last week.
Last
at
week.
Livingston.
Okay, fair enough. Because I'm looking at my thing and I haven't updated that. Livingston, they're an outlier. Fuck them. Before that, we've had 2 losses and 3 draws. The last time we won away was Dundee United, 28th of August. Whatever we've done against Dundee United will suffice for me. Then
Taking Boyce out of the team.
Gino, play Nando.
Okay, I thought I'd been asked the question, but never mind, Shanks. It's fine. You can just ad lib for me. It's cool. Whatever we need to do in order to fucking win this game, I am nervous as fuck. Our form away from home has been absolutely dreadful this year. I think we can all agree on that. Whatever we have to do in order to beg, steal, and borrow a win, and you know what? It's actually a really sad indictment. Is that Dundee? What are they, 10th after that result tonight? In the league, they're absolutely garbage, but I'm still nervous about this game. I think it'll be a score draw, 1-1.
Aye, they were absolutely dreadful at Tynecastle and got a draw, which is really annoying. They lost at the weekend to Ross County. They've lost tonight. The chances of them losing 3 games in a row. Hearts are a soft touch, aren't they? Whenever you get there, Connor Shields at Motherwell hadn't scored since they last scored against Hearts. Manages to grab himself a goal. Should have scored another.
Who was it that got beat 5-0 in Dingwall after?
Thanks for ad-libbing, Shanks. I think I was speaking. Thanks for talking for me. Just getting that. I don't know who.
Shanks, how do we remember this call? I'll just do it now.
Why were Livy playing at Dingwall? What did you say? Who won 5-0?
Oh, Ando's just fucking muted me. No,
yeah,
I was linking it
I've
back to
muted
that
the cunt.
1-1 draw at Tiny when Cummins scored that equaliser. Did they not then go on and get beat 5-0 in Dingwall the week after? Or am I making it up?
No, probably.
Who cares?
I think
it's the type of thing that Hearts would do.
Even Naismith would be a brilliant mentor for Jason Cummins.
Yeah, spec YouTube. I don't know. I don't know what I think. I think on Saturday I'm the same as you. I think we'll go back to 3-4-3. I would take GMS out for Cochrane. I'd play Taylor Moore on the other side, and I think I would play McKenna instead of Janelli. So it would be the same team as Sunday basically, but Cochrane in and McKenna in. And I'll be brave and say 1-0 to Hearts, a Boyce penalty.
Fucking hell, you're brave.
That's my chat. But
how much money are you betting on it?
None, because I cleared my Sky Bet account out so that because it had uneven numbers, which upsets me. So there we go. Right. Let's go back to our quiz. It's quiz heavy. Let's end with the 47 quizzes. Right, Kev, geezer Kevin McKenna's again. We'll have a wee laugh.
Right, this week's Kevin McKenna's first one that I gave out to the show. Oh, damn it, I've done it. Sorry.
Yeah, you have, mate. It's fine.
So played for 2 Premier League clubs, both north and south of the border. Scored 36 goals over his 3 seasons in Gorgie. Enjoys a good bevy before a derby. So Looking around the screen here, I know Corbett, you've got it. Brad's 95% sure that you would have got it. Ando, it's a given that you would have got it as well. So I'm going to have to go to either Shanks or Tam. So in good old Ando tradition of calling the first person out, I am going to go to Tam. So Tam, who is it?
Honestly, no idea. So Shanks.
Fucking hell.
Shanks, tell us.
Well, I appreciate that you've picked me second, considering I'm moving you house on Saturday, so that would have been you fucked. So I've just picked somebody that played for Hearts that loved a bevy. I've went with Mike Galloway, but I don't think he scored 36 times for Hearts.
He certainly did not. You are quite correct. You are quite correct. Brad's, you're still struggling? I'm not going to call you it then. So Ando, please give us the right answer.
MDV.
MDV, correct. It is the man himself.
Played with Leicester, played with the Hearts.
Played with Leicester, played with the Hearts, correct.
Ken and I didn't get that, actually.
It could not have been anyone else.
Nope.
Obvious.
Well, it could have been Gary Locke, but he didn't score 36 goals for Hearts. So
I was thinking Stevie Fulton as well, because he loved a bevy, but
What
did he play
Premiership
with in
team
the
did
Premier
he
League?
play for?
we don't play for like Bolton or something. I don't know if they
No.
were in the Premiership at that point.
No, he maybe played them at FIFA.
I like that
but
you
that
took a
was
guess,
it.
though. I
Aye.
like that you took a pure guess.
Brave,
Yep.
brave.
Good.
Right,
Second on the Kevin McKenna's this week, joined after an amazing summer, regarded as one of the best in his position, and loved to shake everyone's hand before going off and could be known to burst into song. But as I said, I'm going to put a little caveat in there that song might not be the right word.
Champions League, la 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 la. Champions League, la 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 la.
In that case, I'm going to go to one and only Shanks. Give us the right answer.
Takis Thesis.
Correct. Takis Thesis, which Tam, you weren't getting right again.
I've got rid of them. Actually,
I'm
I think you'll find.
Not having it unless you can.
We'll take a fuck to yourself, Kev. I've got rid.
So, like, for the people, I'll let you into some of the secrets of the podcast. The answers to this came out 25 minutes ago, which is why Tam got it right. We had to stop and we've cut this back in, which is why Tam knows what the answer is.
It was my fault. I said a bad word.
You said a bad word. That is correct. Right. And then obviously we'll put your one on the social medias for the week, Kev. Brad's, give us your conundrums.
I will fire through this quickly. So the first one was Nicola's baby wouldn't stop crying. She swaddled her, she bounced her, she cradled her, but nothing was working. Then Jonathan Ross suggested this. NW. Ando?
Nicky Walker.
Explain it for me, please.
Nicola Sturgeon is Nicky. And the Walker is will tire weekends out and get them down or whatever.
Right.
Is that close enough?
It says Rocker, but he can't say ours, so he says Walker. So there we go. Nice one, Tam. There's the biggest insult. There's the biggest insult of the night. I just called you Tam. Sorry, Shanks. On you go.
Right, next one. My mum's sister was raging that she never got recognised for her BAFTAs, Golden Globes, or this other TV award. AN. Tambo.
Well,
it's anti-Emmy, because it's your anti, and it's nay.
She hasn't won an Emmy. No Emmy. No Emmy. You. Okay. Oh my God! I'm going to say that word again. I'm going to say that word again. It's going to get bleeped out.
Mate, why you think? Oh God, you didn't get the Walker bit.
It doesn't fucking matter. NW. How many people can it be?
Right, come on! It's 4 a.m.
I know.
I've got my work.
The third one's easy. Just come to me for it.
I've got it.
Tam was inconsolable when his ex-bud broke up with him. Wouldn't stop crying. His mate Gaz went over to tell him to pull himself together, but Tam just kept crying out how much he cared for her, repeating the same line over and over again. Kev.
Gary Oliver.
Gary, I love her.
Mm-hmm. Get the words out of my mouth.
And that is the last conundrums you will ever hear from my mouth because they were pish.
I quite like them, to be fair.
Right. Tune in next week for 8 more quizzes. Fuck me. Fuck me.
If you're on a long haul flight to New York, then
quizzes are your thing.
This will entertain you the entire trip.
I'll tell you what, boys, I'll make a proper class quiz for next week. I'll put it out there right now.
Nah, but you won't though, will we?
You
You just won't.
absolutely will not.
Nah, but
And
lazy
also-
bastard for probably.
And also remember, if Hearts win on Saturday, half the podcast will be no here. Well, the numbers will shoot right down, and you'll just be doing a quiz to like me and Ando or something.
Oh, I'll tell you, I won't be here. It's I don't want to promote anything, but it's my birthday on Saturday. So
Oh.
yeah, I won't be here.
Well,
Let's get cut.
and I've
Yes.
also done my predictions. Now that I know it's your birthday, will 100% get beat, because
Fucking
that's what
right.
Hearts do. They just ruin everything. So there you go. Right, boysies. I'll see you all next week.
All the best.
See you
See you
later.
later. Cheers,
Gotta
lads.
get out.